at this critical moment. Luckily, the woman reacted fast. She wrapped the safety rope around the top of the tower, braced her feet hard against the structure, and pulled Becky up with everything she had. Becky barely managed to stabilize herself, inching her way up bit by bit, but the platform was cramped with no solid footing to hold on to. The next moment, her foot slipped, and Becky, who had just made a little progress, fell again. Fortunately, her best friend immediately braced her foot firmly, which kept her from going down completely. After that, she pulled more carefully, and Becky didn't dare to make any sudden movements, moving upward with extreme caution. Before long, she grabbed onto the broken ladder and climbed up with all her strength, making it back to the top of the tower. She sat down and gasped for breath, trying to calm herself down. Even though their situation was still dire, the sheer relief of survival made both of them burst out laughing. After that brief rush of excitement, they still had to face the harsh reality. The only ladder was broken. How were they supposed to get back down to the ground 2,000 feet below? Making things even worse, Becky's earlier slip had sent the backpack with their supplies plummeting down below. They tried calling for help, but there was no cell signal. That's when her best friend came up with an idea. She typed out a distress text message, hit send, and lowered the phone down on a rope. If it could pick up a signal, the message would go through. But the rope was only so long, and the hoped-for notification sound never came. To get the phone even lower, she climbed onto the broken ladder and suspended her body in midair, stretching the phone down as far as possible. Even so, the text still wouldn't go through. With her strength nearly gone, she had no choice but to give up. Then Becky suddenly had an idea. They could throw the phone down to the ground, as long as it didn't break. Her best friend thought it was worth a shot, so she took off her shoe, put the phone inside, and stuffed her undergarment in as padding. Once they were sure everything was set, they threw the phone down. All they could do now was wait. But after a long wait, nothing happened. They picked up their binoculars to check on what was happening below, and were delighted to spot someone moving around at the base of the tower. And the man's dog had found the broken phone. Since their shouts couldn't reach the ground, Becky immediately took off her shoe and threw it down, hoping to get his attention. The man was startled by the falling shoe, but still didn't notice the two of them up on the tower. After all, who'd figure anybody would just randomly climb a 2,000-foot abandoned signal tower? So when he found the shoe, he tossed it aside without a second thought. Watching the man slowly walk away, Becky quickly grabbed the flare gun and got ready to fire. Her best friend stopped her, pointing out that a flare fired in daylight was unlikely to get anyone's attention. After spotting the man's RV through the binoculars, they decided to wait until after sunset to fire the flare. Finally, they held on until dark. Just as it looked like he was about to leave, Becky hurriedly grabbed the flare gun, and of course, that's exactly when it jammed.
Okay, they're going in, You have to do the flare now.
Get it to go. Okay, I got it.
As the flare went off, the man beside the RV looked toward them, overwhelmed with excitement. They turned on their phone's flashlight, waving it and shouting at the top of their lungs. The man saw them at the top of the tower, but just as they were both filled with joy, they simply drove away, not only refusing to help them,